April 1st, Pax8 and Microsoft monthly update. We're going to get going here, and hopefully Elliot will be back to join us in a little bit. Let's go over agenda. We're going to start with intros, then I'm going to give everybody some program updates. We've got some Copilot partner tips, Pax8 enablement with Vandit, and then we've got Valimail here to speak with y'all. We'll do some intros. So Elliot was our intro guy, and he's frozen right now. So then we've got Britton, we've got myself and Vandit, and then we've got Kevin here from Valimail, so he's going to go over at the end with y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with some program updates. Y'all know my slides are pretty text heavy, so feel free to take a screenshot so you can have these later to refer back to. So we'll start with the legacy to NCE migration, and I'm sure y'all have already heard tons about this the past few Microsoft updates. So I'm just going to hit on the highlights here, so be sure to screenshot this as well. So the Microsoft-led transition, we started on January 11th. So that's been going for a few months now. You may have already been impacted by that. You may not. This is going to happen at your anniversary date for your legacy subscriptions. Just a reminder, if you're waiting for the Microsoft-led migration, this will open a new 7-day modification window for changes or cancellations. So if you want to wait for that, you still have the 7 days to go in and make any changes you need. And they will all auto migrate to annual commitments with the same billing terms. So just a reminder, if you wait for Microsoft and you don't make any changes during that 7-day window, you will be locked into an annual commitment. So if you only want that monthly commitment, be sure you go in there on your anniversary date to change that. Any subscriptions that are tied to one another, so if you have a parent subscription with an add-on and all of them have eligible migration paths, those will all migrate together. And then let's move over to self-migrating via Pax8. So if you don't want to wait for the Microsoft-led migration, you just want to get it out of the way, get it done with before them, you can go into the platform, and as long as your legacy subscriptions have migration paths and are good to go, you can hit that upgrade button and move your subscriptions over. Now, just a reminder that this is considered an upgrade in our platform, so it does not open a 7-day window. So you'll have an option to make all your changes when you're doing that upgrade, but you need to know exactly what you want before you go in there, because you will not be able to change it in the 7 days afterwards. This is only available for legacy products that have an NCE equivalent. So as we know, public sector is just we're rolling those out slowly. So if you have some PubSec SKUs that aren't released yet, you won't be able to upgrade those yet until everything is released. And just a reminder, if you do self-upgrade in our platform, it will create a new subscription ID. So you'll need to resync your PSAs if you use those. So public sector offers. So we know that they were released or are releasing in 4 waves. We've already hit wave 1 and 2 in March. Today, April 1st, wave 3 is released, and you can check out that Partner Center update in the announcement sections in Partner Center, where they're talking about the GCC SKUs that were released today. And just a couple dates to hit on. So May 1st, new subscription purchases for public sector must be on newcomers. So if you're wanting to get a whole nother year on legacy, you need to go in and purchase those new subscriptions before May 1st. So you've got a month left. July 1st is when the migration for legacy to NCE for public sector is going to start. So until July 1, your subscriptions will renew on legacy, but starting July 1, those will start to shift over on your anniversary date. So if you have a subscription renewing on, say, May 15th, that you are okay with it staying on legacy for the next year, you can let that auto renew. It will stay on legacy until your anniversary date next year, and then it will auto migrate to newcomers. And public sector promos. So these were released a little bit earlier this month. This is only for SKUs with monthly commitments and monthly billing. So if you have an annual commitment, this promo does not apply to you. So it's basically a 16.7% promo. So it's going to waive the 20% premium. So if you want to stay on that monthly commitment, this will waive the premium for you. It's up to a 10-month duration. So the last day of the promo will be the last day of this year, December 31st. So if you start the promo today, you'll get it through the end of the year, but it is up to 10 months. So depending on whenever you start. Just know that December 31st, that promo will fall off, and starting in January, you will be charged the 20% premium if you stay on the monthly commitment and monthly billing. And just below are the products that are included in that. So Business Standard, Business Premium, E3, and E5. Moving on, just want to hit on our NCE blog. This is where we keep everything up to date for all things NCE, public sector, anything like that you can find in this blog. We try to keep it as updated as possible. We know Microsoft likes to give us lots of updates throughout the month. So just keep this link handy if you have any questions. And if there's anything on here that you don't see or don't know, you can reach out to your Pax8 account team. Next, Microsoft customer agreements. So last year, April 1st, 2023, Microsoft updated their customer agreement. So partners who accepted this agreement after April 1st of 2023, so exactly a year ago, if you've accepted in the last year, you're good, no action needed, you've accepted the new one. Customers that accepted prior will need to go in and re-accept this MCA. So we are going to be working on functionality in the platform for this. So as of right now, we're still working on that with our engineering team. So as soon as we have updates, we will let you know on the process for that. And just keep in mind, April 1st, so today is not the deadline to re-accept. I know that was a little misconception when the announcement came out. So we are still good. Nobody is out of compliance or anything like that. So we are good, and we will be reaching out to those who will need to re-accept their MCA. SMB paths for Azure partner designations. This is a big one for our SMB partners. On March the 20th, Microsoft announced that they are going to be releasing SMB paths for the 3 Azure partner designations: data and AI, digital app and innovation, and infrastructure. So this is going to make these designations a little bit easier for our SMB partners to achieve these, to receive the benefits, the support, the resources. So there will be an SMB path and an enterprise path. And so whenever this is released by Microsoft, it will automatically populate into your partner center for whichever one you qualify for. So once you get into that membership tab, the membership workspace in Partner Center, when this is released, you'll be able to see which one that you qualify for and see where you stand in terms of your points and everything to getting those designations. They've told us that this will be released in FY25, so we've still got a couple months before it actually hits Partner Center, but we should have some more information in the next coming weeks. And lastly, NCE subscription transfers. So this is the hot one. So Microsoft announced that in fiscal or CY Q2, so calendar year, so starting today in the next 2 months, partners will be able to transfer their NCE subs from indirect provider to indirect provider, or from direct bill to indirect provider. This hasn't been released yet. We don't know a date exactly, but they have told us it is coming. So just an FYI, transfers have to be approved by both the IP that you are with and the IP that you want to move to. So once functionality is all set up in the platform, you will, submit a request to transfer. If that transfer is not accepted within 30 days by both parties, the current IP and the future IT, the transfer will not be executed. So just keep that in mind. And if a transfer is made midterm, it will not open a 7-day modification window. So if you're in the middle of an annual commitment and you want to move indirect providers or move from direct bill to an indirect provider, you will keep that same commitment and your end date will be the same. So nothing will change in terms of that. You're literally just changing your provider. So we're still working on this in our marketplace, but once we have more information, we will let you all know, and I'm sure it will be on our next monthly update. And I am going to pass it over to Britton, who's going to go over some Copilot partner tips.
Thank you, Devin. Excited to hop in on this. This is always a topic. We've been moving through AI readiness for a number of months, but we're excited to keep on having the conversation and dive a little deeper into some of the things that we have had reflected back to us from partners like you over the last couple of months, meeting with our global PACs, our strategic partners, and getting to hear from you at all of the live and virtual events that we've been doing since the top of the year. Really excited to dive in. So let's get started. Of course, we know that the AI opportunity is growing, so we don't have to spend a ton of time here. But if we zoom out and just take a quick snapshot about generative AI in the last couple of years, we know that ChatGPT hit the market and managed to hit 100 million users within 3 months of its launch. And we can see from feedback that's been recovered through Microsoft data and various Forrester sources that 83% of businesses are saying that AI is a top priority for them as they move into the new year. But only 23% of those businesses say that they have some kind of plan for the adoption of AI. And we understand that that is a huge gap that Pax8 partners stand in, and that is no secret. So let's hop in to how we can demystify this change of behavior with your end customers by partnering with Pax8. So the problem is that industries everywhere are very excited about what AI can do for them. They're hearing from every news source. They're hearing from multiple brands about the power of productivity with AI, the speed at which it can work, and the, alleviation of workday stress that it could potentially provide. But at the same time, there are partners like you and customers that are ready to move forward today that are still very worried about how to safely and efficiently integrate this advanced technology into their work environments. And that is a very real question. So we'll pop into this next conversation that won't feel new to you, especially if you've been coming to the monthly updates for a long time. This is our AI strategy supporter. And when we look at the areas of build, we're going to be in business strategy today. We're going to tap into some of the things that are preparing for AI capabilities. Mainly on user training and expectations, which will be supported through Pax8 with things like enablement and events. And you'll hear more about those from Bandit a little bit later on. We can pop to the next. So with this next conversation, it really defines that partners are not only feeling like they have to keep up with the news, like these two updates that came down in March that are both things like the industry SKUs that are available for Copilot now, including O365E1, Business Basic. We're going to be able to see F SKUs work with these advanced technologies now, and getting some great feedback like restricted SharePoint search. So we've gotten some expansion news, taking it into the forefront of the workplaces, which will become even more of a security conversation. But at the same time, we are getting great news about how to manage SharePoint and about some of the changes that Microsoft has going on to help manage that. And we know that those things are often a lot to keep up with on their own, which is why we work with Devin, Ashley, the programs team to get you newsletters that can help you stay abreast of these types of changes. And we move into deeper categories like customer enablement. And that's on our next slide. More than just being able to guide your customers through the incoming news, which is coming fast, you have to also be their trusted advisor about how to use these tools. And for some partners, that may be a challenge because you may not be using it yet yourself. So how can you fast track your knowledge of something if it's not something that you've even really gotten to internally adopt? There's a handful of ways to work through partner benefits, get your hands on some of the free Copilot with data protection, working alongside tools like Business Premium, and Pax8 is prepared to help you educate yourself internally as a partner so that you can spread that influence and that early adopter mentality throughout your customers, and you can step into that trusted advisor space with them. We move on from just helping you learn about security and services and can tap deeper into ways to enable and teach skilling. And so that's what we'll wrap up with today, is some conversations around prompting. This is a key skill when it comes to working with Copilot, because although we definitely talk about natural language, we don't ever want to forget that it is natural language processing. So there's a certain amount of structure and, a bit of math about how you want to work with your Copilot to get your best responses. And these are things that you could be teaching for free to your customers today, or working them into service packages. If you are training individual teams and piloting with an organization, there are numerous ways to lead the thoughts around AI in your sector of business by utilizing some tips and tricks that are basic but very impactful to a successful adoption of AI. So this screen will tell you some of the use cases that you can request when you want something done. And at its core, that is what a prompt is asking Copilot for what you need. But it's how you ask that determines your response. So we've talked about this on some of our other shows like Technically Unraveled, and even some of our larger events like the multiple day boot camps that you can tune into. And this is because when it comes to processing, your language means everything. If you go too general with a Copilot, you may find that you get something more like tips or tricks back, a couple of things that it's recommending as a habit, and you may not have the Copilot fully completing the task that you're looking for it to do. And when you find that happening, step back from your prompt. You can look at what you've asked for and see, did that pinpoint exactly what I needed? And this gray box on the screen is a good representation of that, because it's using the words that really pinpoint the ask, like summarizing information. Write a session about this presentation and summarize the information there, allowing it to know exactly what you need it to do. Whether this is creating something from scratch and using the influence of something, or staying quite true to the source material and simply summarizing and condensing it for ease or for another audience to view. If you were going to take a large PowerPoint and you wanted to present it to a set of leaders that maybe only had 10 to 15 minutes to spend discussing it, you could use Copilot to turn that into a multiple page document instead of a 15-page PowerPoint. And little tips and tricks like that can help people see the incredible productivity use that they could make of these tools early on, so that they don't get hit with a wave of what do I do now? All right, let's move on to this next one and dig a little deeper into prompts. So we talked about there being some art and science to how to prompt, and it's because you really do want to have the right ingredients to ask for everything you need in the prompt up front. Of course, you can reiterate, and we'll spend some time talking about that as well. But the big things you want to look at here are the goal. What response do you want? The context is why do you need it and who is involved? The source is where do you want Copilot to be looking while it's compiling this information? What sources do you want it to be looking at? And then, of course, your expectations. So how should it bring this back to you to best suit your expectations from Copilot? We talk a lot about expectations when it comes to AI, as well as when we talk about consulting on it. You have to really know what you want AI to do for you before you're going to see the value, because there are so many ways to work with it that sometimes you can get that blank screen phobia we have had described to us by partners and users alike that feel like I'm not sure where to start. And this is where we think that partners going in and recommending pilots within a team per se, and not just picking like, I'm going to pick a CEO and a CTO and give those two people this tool, because we want to remind everyone that what we hear back about those very high-powered roles sometimes is that they're moving so fast they don't have time to learn the new tool, and often may not even touch it after they get it for a couple of months. So when going into your customer environment, thinking about guiding them on how to bring Copilot into a team and pilot that together so that they can learn how that tool makes their whole team more effective and more efficient. then they could pass on that learning to another part of the organization. And as we see people begin to adopt more of that team mentality than completely pointing out these high potential people, although they are very important to have on board, we find that we're hearing that CEOs and CTOs that see entire teams begin to perform better, sharper, and more quality work together find that to be ROI enough than if they personally loved to use it, especially if they didn't even have the time to open it up in its first couple of months on their environment. So I think that we can really move into these next couple pieces here and hand back to Vandit to keep the conversation going about enablement. So some of the things that I like to recommend that are good tips and tricks is working with it to see how many different ways your data can come back towards you. So not only asking for insights about data that you've put forward, but even asking for creative storytelling assistance. So this is something where you could be talking to Copilot about the market that you're going to speak to. I'm creating a PowerPoint to host an event about generative AI. My customers are in this segment and these are their concerns. Can you help me write a quick script? These are simple things that can knock out sometimes hours worth of your time in a week. And if you were to spread that over just a team of 3 to 5, you would see an instant response in how that team was able to step up to the plate of their work and have a great conversation to move forward with leadership buy-in. So we are here to guide you both in Technically Unraveled, in your regional events and enablement, and of course in the monthly update. And with that, I'll pass it back off to Vandit to go a little bit deeper into the other enablement we have going on in the next few months. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Britton. Happy to jump right on into our enablement update. So first up, just want to start off by just bringing up our Pax8 Microsoft Academy Hub. This is our landing page for all things Microsoft training inside of Pax8 Academy. So for those of you who haven't had a chance to check out this resource, highly recommend that you do. We're always adding new trainings here. So whether it be on-demand courses, whether it be recordings like this one, or even hands-on labs, enablement sessions, this will be your one-stop shop for all things Pax8 Microsoft enablement. And it's regularly updated. So we're dropping new courses, we're updating courses, and we're even looking at putting out some new things here in the next couple months around security, AI readiness, Copilot prompting, Copilot preparedness. So wanted to share this, make sure that you keep this at the center of your learning journey and go through all of these steps, because this is where you'll be, this is where you'll be working out of. And if you ever need anything more, it'll be right there, and we're here to improve this resource. Next is just going into a few of the events that we have coming up here over the next month or two. First one is our Pax8 Microsoft boot camps. While we don't have a boot camp this month, we do have our next Modern Workplace virtual boot camp happening May 7th and May 8th. So if you didn't get a chance to join our last one, or if you did get a chance to join our last Modern Workplace Bootcamp, this next one will be continuing on some of the work that we did there. So expect to see some more things around security readiness, how to get your clients' Microsoft environments ready for Copilot, and then most importantly, how you can start bringing Copilot to those environments and how your clients can start making the most of AI inside of their environments. So if you're in North America, register for our boot camps today. We have, while I'm just talking about Modern Workplace right now, since that's coming up next month, we do have dates for our next Modern Workplace, Azure, and BizApps boot camps throughout the year. So if you want to go ahead and register for all of them in one go, make it easier, we'll send out email updates, notifications to let you know as we get closer to those events. You are more than welcome to do so. And if you're joining us from UK or Australia, please go to pax8.com/events and you'll get the latest bootcamp calendar there. And then as we're talking about technical training, once you attend a boot camp, once you go through all of that, we also have these hands-on labs where you can get really deep into the specific tools inside of the Microsoft suite. So we offer Modern Workplace and Azure Hands-On Labs, and this is what we're running from April to May. So you'll see everything ranging from Microsoft Defender to Purview to Azure Innovate with AI, as well as some Copilot hands-on labs here too. So if you're really looking to get your hands into the weeds, really learn step-by-step how you can implement and deploy each one of these tools, highly recommend signing up for our hands-on labs here. These dates are for our North American audience. So if you want to sign up, we have this QR code and link here. And again, these are all posted on Pax8 Academy. So if you wanted to register for all of them, or if you wanted to see what we have coming up past May into June, we'll also have that posted on Academy. Then just going through Pax8 Momentum. This is our revamped new event for leaders, technical partners, and really focuses on sharpening and translating the knowledge that you've gained from previous Pax8 events into operational success. So if you've attended, let's say, our master classes, our boot camps, launch briefings, this event is a great next step to really know how to bring all of that together and then bring that into your business practice. So with customized breakout sessions and an interactive approach, this event will delve deeper into each one of those key aspects to help you achieve your goals. So our next Momentum will be happening later this month, April 23rd through the 24th in Chicago. You can register today at pax8.com/momentum. I'm excited to see you guys register, and we're excited to see you guys out in Chicago. And when we're talking about events and in person, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our flagship event happening in June this year, Beyond 2024. This is our second time hosting the event from June 9th through the 11th. If you weren't here last year, I really hope we can see you in Denver again this year as we continue to grow our community and connect you with leading industry experts. And if you were there last year, super excited to see you there again this year. And if you missed your chance for the early bird pricing, no worries. Pax8's currently running a discounted pricing at $399 until the end of April. I will say, if you haven't registered and you're interested, I do recommend doing it sooner rather than later. We've sold out over 75% of the spots for Beyond in Denver this year. So if you're interested in that event, highly recommend sooner rather than later. And then we are also hosting Beyond out in Berlin in October. For more information on that, stay tuned here. We'll be giving you some updates there. First, we want to take you out to Denver for Beyond in June. And then again, if you are joining us from the UK, if you're joining us from Australia, I also wanted to share some of the events that we have going on in your region, both virtual and in person. So we have a few launch briefings, some mission briefings, some hands-on labs and master classes happening. So we have a wide variety of events. So I highly recommend registering for these. And then if you want to look for more, or if you want to see the updated calendar events that are coming out, again, pax8.com/events will be the place to go. You can find all of the events for your region, for your country, and be able to register right from there. And then last but not least from my side, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Technically Unraveled while our lovely host Kristen Fehrenbach isn't here. So every Thursday we host a nice little podcast where we go through all types of things, Microsoft, MSP related. It's a nice conversation, great way to spend your Thursday, just catching up and connecting with some industry experts and really getting to pick their brain, getting to chat with them live, and having all of those questions answered. So if you haven't seen a Technically Unraveled live, no worries. We have all of those recordings posted for you to review. And again, live every Thursday. So stay tuned, check in this Thursday, and join us for this upcoming Technically Unraveled. But with that, I think we're going to pass it over to Kevin from Valimail, who's joining us to talk to us about Valimail and go through their solution. Kevin, I'll pass it on to you.
Awesome. I will go ahead and share my screen. Is that coming through all right for everyone?
Yes, it is. Looks good, Kevin.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Vandit. So we're excited to be here. I'm Kevin Dunn, COO at Valimail, and we're presenting today on a product called Valimail Core, which is available on the Pax8 marketplace. We've actually made some updates to the product as well as to the integration with the Pax8 marketplace that we want to talk to everyone here about a little bit more today. So I'll jump into here some big news in the market. So as of yesterday, if you were a Microsoft 365 customer and you were sending email to customers at gmail.com, yahoo.com inboxes, you were able to get those emails delivered basically without doing any email authentication. While it's a best practice, it wasn't a required practice to get into those inboxes. As of today, this is no April Fool's joke. Google and Yahoo have both made some changes that essentially to get into these customer inboxes, the gmail.com, the yahoo.com inboxes of the world, you need to authenticate your email. So for any of those marketing emails, even for your one-off, Microsoft 365 emails to a customer or maybe to a small business vendor that has a gmail.com or yahoo.com address, you need to have DMARC set up as well as SPF and DKIM. If you do not do that, your emails have the potential to not be delivered, and there's a timeline which we're right in the middle of here where these changes are going into effect. So this news all got announced relatively recently, so it's been a big market chaos event, I would say. It got announced at the end of last year. Starting in February, these guidelines were actually required to be in place, and coming up here in April is where we're actually going to see emails start to get rejected. So a small portion of the traffic which does not comply, meaning it's not authenticated, is going to start getting rejected up through June, where we've heard that up to 100% of email that is not authenticated could get rejected, meaning that it's not that it goes to spam, it's not that it might not be delivered, it's going to be completely shut out. It's not even going to get in the front door, not even going to get into these gmail.com and yahoo.com inboxes. So you might be wondering, if you're not an email expert, which is most people, right? What do I need to do to make sure that these emails get delivered? This is a lot of stuff to try to take in, and where do I get started trying to make sure that my customers will be ready for these changes that are going into effect this month? And the answer is it's really 7 things, of which Valimail Core can help you easily solve 3 of the 7. And these are the most complex 3 of the 7. Many of the others might be solved inherently already for you, but the first 3 there are going to be the ones that require specific work within your customer's environment. They have to be done for each individual customer. Each customer is going to have a different configuration, and Valimail Core will essentially automate that process for you and make it a very simple and straightforward process to get into compliance with those first 3 things here, which dramatically impact either the positive or negative deliverability that you'll see once these Google and Yahoo changes go into effect this month. So you might be thinking already, have some solutions in place. My customer uses Microsoft 365. They might already have access to something like Microsoft Defender for their email security. Can't I just do this kind of solution within the context of software that the customer already has licensed? The answer to that is no. We are part of a multi-layer solution for email security. We solve the email authentication portion of that. You'll see that a traditional secure email gateway like a Proofpoint, Mimecast, Sophos, etc., or a Microsoft Defender all really focus on looking at the content of the email in terms of what's in the body of the email, what are the attachments, things of that nature. We're looking at who sent the email, and we're validating that only entities that you allow can send email on behalf of your domain. So that is a totally different problem. You need to solve both problems to be clear. So we're not recommending that we would replace any of those solutions, but you'll see we are recommended as a solution in addition to Microsoft Defender, and you'll see Microsoft themselves, they've trusted us over the course of the last 5 years. We are their go-to partner for DMARC. So that's why I think it's really awesome that we're here talking to Microsoft partners today, because we have worked with Microsoft for many years, and we're in many hundreds of customers thanks to Microsoft, who has brought us in and introduced us to fill the gap that both Microsoft and analysts realize is present within any kind of traditional secure email gateway or email security solution. So I'll stop there for a second. I can't see the Q&A, but I don't think we have any questions yet, but stop me if we have any questions that would make sense to answer now. Otherwise, I'll keep going.
I think you're good to keep
Good to
moving
go.
forward, Kevin. No questions
Awesome.
in the chat just yet, but if anything comes in, we will hop off cam to let you know.
Perfect. Thank you. So looking at what DMARC looks like typically, right? It's a very tedious cycle of changes. DMARC is not something that you can simply set and forget. These, DMARC and SPF and DKIM policies are things that are sort of always changing, always evolving. There's new sending services coming into the corporate landscape. There are old sending services going out. There are spoofing attacks going on that need to be looked into. Even the sending services that you've used for some time may have changes in terms of new IP address, and new SPF includes. Best practice would recommend rotating your DKIM keys every 6 months. So these are all things that are going to drive you if you try to do DMARC yourself, or you try to use one of these other solutions on the market, lower cost solutions, and kind of less complex solutions or less sophisticated solutions. You're going to have a lot more of that work versus with Valimail, you're never going to have to touch DNS. You're going to be able to make a single DNS change on behalf of your customer. You only need to request them to change something one time. And then from that point forward, all the rest can be handled directly in the platform. It's going to be automated. It's going to be made easy to understand. So even if you didn't know what any of those things I just explained were, you don't even know what a DKIM key is, you're going to have access to a platform that's going to help you with automating all of that process and not having to worry about doing a lot of technical work to get this DMARC, SPF, and DKIM in place, and most importantly, continue to maintain it long term. So some of the things you'll see in our platform, I mentioned we have technology, patented technology that allows you to manage SPF without doing any DNS changes. That's our instant SPF technology. We have DMARC automation as well, which allows you to understand exactly what the sending services are that are trying to send on your behalf, so you can easily identify them and say yes or no, this is an authorized service that can send on my behalf that I want to authenticate. That's part of our precision sender intelligence. So we've seen thousands of services at this time because we work with 40,000 customers across the globe, more than any other DMARC vendor. So we have a very comprehensive view of all of the sending services out there, and we translate that into plain English. So you don't need to try to mess around with parsing DMARC reports, looking at IP addresses. It's all going to be there in plain English for you to easily understand. The result of that is that we are the best performing solution in the market. We've seen that we get customers to enforcement, DMARC enforcement, faster and more reliably than DIY or other DMARC solutions on the market. And this is all information we know and we can trust because it's all there in customers' DNS records, so we can see exactly what we need to see in terms of how we're doing versus how the competition is doing to be able to make that claim. That's not just data that we're pulling out of thin air. And with that, you'll see some of the numbers here, right? And so you can make the choice for yourself, but given the amount of importance that's being placed on DMARC in the short period of time we have to get to customers to enforcement to comply with Google and Yahoo's standards, you'll see that you're going to be going with essentially a sure thing, a guaranteed thing with Valimail versus with other vendors and with DIY. Odds are you're going to fail, and even if you are successful, it may not happen within the timeframes needed to ensure that the Google and Yahoo changes don't have a negative impact for your customers. So we're talking today a lot about Google and Yahoo compliance, but that's because that is the topic du jour, and it impacts anyone who sends email to gmail.com or yahoo.com inboxes. So it impacts Microsoft 365 customers. It also impacts any customers you might have on Google Workspace as well. Basically, any business is going to send emails in any use case to some of those inboxes and will be impacted. So we're talking talking about that, but DMARC helps you achieve much more than just being compliant with Google and Yahoo. They're making customers do this for a reason. It helps with another number of other things, like ensuring that people can't spoof your brands, can't impersonate your exact domains, that your brand is protected, that you're set up in the future to do things like BIMI, for example. If your marketing group wants to take advantage of that and get the blue check mark in Google, the precursor to that is that you have to be at DMARC enforcement. So number of great things there. It's also part of a number of compliance mandates. Things like PCI DSS are starting to incorporate a DMARC mandate, and there's a number of industry bodies, security bodies that recommend doing DMARC. So it's a great thing to do, great best practice beyond just getting into shape for this Google and Yahoo mandate. There's a lot of other reasons that customers should be looking at getting to DMARC enforcement if they're not there already. So I'll wrap up here with some of our new pricing. So this is new, and so we've rolled out as of today a number of new features. So additional functionality that was not previously there. We have portfolios and teams to help support that multi-tenant use case, so that customers can get access to only their domains, but MSPs and partners can see across different customer portfolios and work across the different end user customers that might be in their landscape. So that's been a great new feature release. We've also added subdomain support, some alerts, and a number of other exciting capabilities. And with that, we have actually not raised the price at all. We've kept the price for the initial tier of domains exactly the same as it was before. And we're now offering some volume discounts because these new features, we expect that they'll help a lot of the larger Pax8 partners with managing their customers DMARC, and so we want to attract them to come in and to build a practice. So we hope that you'll check us out and take a look at us, because as you can see here, it gets to be a very affordable solution, only $7.50 per domain per month when you get above 76 domains. So you're talking about less than $100 a year basically to make sure that you meet this Google and Yahoo compliance mandate and you're protected from all of that spoofing and brand loss that could happen if you're not doing DMARC. So we'd love to have you come check out our new integration and new capabilities and take advantage of this new pricing model. So with that, I will stop and see if we have any questions, and thank you for having us here today. We're excited to be able to present to you on this topic.
Awesome, Kevin, good job. We did have one question come in about pricing, and you've absolutely smashed it already. So we're all good.
Okay.
If you're good to just hang out for a couple of minutes in case we have any more questions come in, that would be awesome.
Perfect.
So you may have heard I was due to be launching this monthly update, but my internet provider decided to play some April Fool's jokes on me and cut me off 30 seconds after we went live. But I get the nice job of landing this now. All the hard work's been done. So thanks to the team of presenters today and everyone asking questions in chat. We'd like to throw up the resources page at the end. So lots of these have been dropped into the Q&A section for us as we went through. Just want to highlight again, Pax8 events, the Pax8 Microsoft Hub, we were dropping those in, and we have Beyond coming up very, very shortly. So make sure that you're signing up, registering, clicking these links and accessing that great content. So we like to wrap up with any Q&A. We'll have the team on the back end hang out for a few minutes. So if you have any questions that come through, please let us know, and we'll be here for you for that. Thank you.